Hello, I'm Brian, and I'm going to be on the side of the Culex quinquefascius mosquito, commonly known as the southern house mosquito.
Hi, I'm Mitchell, and my insect of choice will be the Aedes albopictus mosquito, commonly known as the Asian tiger mosquito.
Our debate topic is which species is more dangerous to humans? I think the southern house mosquito is the most dangerous species of mosquito to humans. The southern house mosquito is part of the Diptera order, the same order as flies, and belongs to the family Culicidae, which denominates it as a mosquito. The Culex quinquefascius is believed to come from the African lowlands and introduced to America in ships through the slave trade. This species of mosquito loves tropical and subtropical weather and makes it a common species found throughout the southern United States. The species is known for being invasive from Virginia to southern California, as far north as Iowa, and as far south as Texas and Florida. The southern house mosquito reproduces in polluted water environments like bird baths, old tires, or any container that holds stagnant water. Male and female mosquitoes of this species take sugar meals from plants, although after mating, the female seeks a blood meal in order to develop eggs. This blood-feeding mosquito is a nocturnal feeder, which means they only eat during the nighttime and the early hours of the day. Birds and mammals are the favorite host of the southern house mosquito, but it can enter the home through unscreened windows as well as open doors and feed off sleeping humans. Culex quinquefascius is a vector of many pathogens, several of which affect humans, including the St. Louis encephalitis virus as well as the West Nile virus. In the case of the St. Louis encephalitis, the virus causes flu-like symptoms that can range from fever and headaches to stiffness and confusion and sometimes death.
To me, the Asian tiger mosquito is the more dangerous of the two species. Otherwise known as Aedes albopictus, this mosquito is small, only about 1/4 of an inch long. It is mostly black in color with a white stripe that runs across its head, thorax, and abdomen. As you can tell by the name, the Asian tiger mosquito did not originate in the United States. They latched onto truck tires imported from Southeast Asia. A big reason this insect can be so dangerous is because of the way it reproduces. One mosquito can lay up to 500 eggs in their lifetime, and the problems don't stop there. In tropical areas like Texas and Florida, the Asian tiger mosquito can live year-round, but in more temperate areas, the adults die off during the winter. However, the problem is, although the adults are killed by the cold, the eggs can survive in both dry and cold seasons, meaning once the eggs are laid, there's a high chance they will survive. This idea, coupled with the fact that one mosquito can lay up to 500 eggs in their lifetime, means that the population is growing at a very fast rate. The biggest reason I believe the Asian tiger mosquito is so dangerous, however, is its ability to be a vector of disease. The Aedes albopictus can spread diseases like the West Nile virus and the chikungunya virus, both of which have no cure. The West Nile virus has the potential to affect the nervous system, causing encephalitis and meningitis, both of which could be fatal. The chikungunya virus causes fever and severe joint pain that could last years. For older people, it could be fatal. Another disease the Asian tiger mosquito can spread is lacrosse encephalitis, which also affects the central nervous system. Death can occur when there is severe inflammation in the brain, which can cause seizures, coma, and paralysis. The worst cases are seen by those aged 16 and younger. I also have to mention that because the population is so large, it makes it that much more difficult to control and eradicate these terrible diseases.
You mentioned in your opening statement how the Asian tiger mosquito can lay up to 500 eggs in their lifetime, and that in areas where temperatures are favorable, like Texas and Florida, they can live up to a year. Nonetheless, if an adult Asian tiger mosquito dies due to low temperatures during the winter months, the eggs can still withstand the change, meaning there's a continuous population of the species in the areas where they breed. This species brings me to ask, how can we assure invasive species as this Asian tiger mosquito are constantly reproducing and not being affected by climatic changes such as temperature? Is this Is there scientific evidence behind your statement?
You make a good point. However, it's actually pretty straightforward if you think about it. The species of Asian tiger mosquito was first introduced to the United States in the 1980s. Since then, the population has increased rapidly, and now they're documented in 1,368 counties in 40 states. The species has been spreading to all the continents except Antarctica since the 1970s. In fact, according to the Global Invasive Species Database, Aedes albopictus is one of the world's 100 most invasive species. Now, the reason the Asian tiger mosquito species has been able to spread so fast over such a long distance is because the mosquitoes are constantly reproducing. Due to the idea of adaptation, the mosquitoes would not be able to survive the transfer to a new continent unless the species were reproducing and the offspring that had the adapted genes could survive and reproduce again. If procreation wasn't happening, the mosquitoes with the unadapted genes would die in the new environment of the continent. However, because the evidence that mosquitoes have been spreading from continent to continent and surviving means that the Asian tiger mosquito must be constantly reproducing. My critique to your argument would be that you state that the St. Louis encephalitis virus causes flu-like symptoms. However, none of the symptoms you listed, such as fever, headaches, stiffness, and confusion, are necessarily deadly. So how is that disease able to kill people, and how significant is the amount?
Good question. As I mentioned, the St. Louis encephalitis virus causes flu-like symptoms, which usually appear after 2 weeks of being bitten by the mosquito. According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, after a period of several days, the brain may begin to swell. In some cases, the virus can lead to severe neuroinvasive disease, causing long-term disability or death. Doctors have developed vaccines to prevent nor medication to treat SLE. Care is based on symptoms. Mitchell, according to your statement, the disease caused by the Asian tiger mosquito, such as the chikungunya virus and the La Crosse encephalitis, seem to only be fatal on older people and young people 16 and under. My rebuttal question for you is, what is the chance that the rest of the United States population, not included within the two groups mentioned, will have a fatal reaction to the virus?
So while it is true that the chikungunya virus is mostly fatal to older folks with chronic illnesses, it can still be deadly to those younger than 65 with diabetes and/or heart disease. 1 in 11 people in the world have diabetes, and while that might not seem like a lot, when you compare it to the world's population, 700 million people are potentially at risk from dying from the chikungunya virus. Also, from 2013 to 2016, 121.5 million American adults had some form of cardiovascular disease, so it is still very possible to be killed by this virus even if you're under 65. While dying from these diseases is very horrible and sad, it's obviously the worst case scenario, but I don't think a disease must be fatal to be considered dangerous. I believe that simply the possibility of going into a coma or becoming chronically lethargic should be considered very threatening as well.
Okay, I think that the Culex quinquefascius mosquito, commonly known as the southern house mosquito, is the species of mosquito more dangerous to humans. Previously, I mentioned this species of mosquito has been around since colonial times, which has given them the ability to spread across the United States. Imelda K. Mosey, a scientist for the University of Miami Department of Geography and Regional Studies, has performed research using the southern house mosquito. Their study looked to develop strategies to fight vector-borne disease outbreaks by analyzing the mosquito's behavior. The Culex quinquefascius is an important species of mosquito to study because without the proper precautions, it can cause economic and public health problems due to their ability to quickly spread threatening diseases like the St. Louis encephalitis virus and the West Nile virus to us humans.
The reason I believe the Asian tiger mosquito, or Aedes albopictus, is much more dangerous to humans than the southern house mosquito is because the Asian tiger mosquito is growing in a population more quickly. As I stated before, a single female mosquito can lay up to 500 eggs in her lifetime, and due to the adaptation of the eggs to make it through more treacherous conditions like dry, cold weather, the survivability of each egg is higher than that of the southern house mosquito, who are limited to laying eggs in polluted, stagnant water. Of course, the Asian tiger mosquito prefers this environment as well, but the ability to be flexible makes the mosquito more likely to reproduce, therefore increasing the population and increasing the chance of spreading diseases to humans. Also, although our mosquitoes can spread many of the same diseases, the Asian tiger mosquito can spread a few that are unique to their species. The chikungunya virus can be deadly to both the older population and any age that is diagnosed with heart disease or diabetes, a very large number of people. Also, I believe a disease does not just need to be deadly to be deemed threatening, as coma and chronic symptoms should be equally feared.